Hi everyone, it's Allison here, also known as Lasan Faye, and today, if you can tell by the video title, I'm here to bring you my new bullet journal setup. And so, as a bit of a surprise, it's why my new bullet journal is currently sitting off screen, so that way I can introduce the color. So my big reveal for this fall is I will be using the limited edition Copper Leuchtturm that Leuchtturm put out last year for their 100th anniversary. And so I decided to go with this. I went back and forth between this one and a purple one. So purple is going to be my next one. Purple is my favorite color, just as an FYI, but I decided to go with this one because it kind of matches the season that we're moving into, summer, all of fall, beginning of winter. And so I felt like this color really encapsulated that, and so that's what I'm going with. Now, I have done all of my setup off film, and that's because I'm trying out a lot of new things, and I didn't want the pressure of filming to cause me to screw up any more than I necessarily would. So I'm gonna go ahead, open her up, and show you all how I'm running things in this new bullet journal. A lot of it is similar to what I've done in the past, but at the same time, it's a new way of exploring it. So, opening this notebook up. Now on the first page, I have an at-a-glance for my year rather than what I've previously known or what I know from my last bullet journal. This at-a-glance is that way I can see the calendar layout, the little boxes that I have done the corners of is to have me write down some really key things that happen throughout the month, like birthdays or a major event. But overall, the nitty gritty of my future planning is not going here, but it is to provide me an at-a-glance overview of everything that could be happening in my day-to-day life. So that is the goal with this page. And I just ran my calendar like usual, and originally I was going to have all these boxes be the same size, and then I started drawing it, and it's like, well, you know what, I actually like the way it looks better when I just have the boxes go all the way up to wherever the bottom of the calendar is, even though that means December and July are smaller boxes. There's actually not that many major events that are happening in those times for me. I know there's holidays and stuff, especially in December, but for me, this isn't where I would necessarily need to view all of that information. So now, this next part is going to be the huge change, and it's kind of based upon what I did when I was doing my summer overview, and that is I have decided to try doing my future planning like this, where essentially I have a page, a full 2-page spread for each of the 6 months that this notebook will cover. And the lines are drawn between every Sunday and Monday. And the idea is that this is just the nitty-gritty breakdown of everything. So events are going to be things like conferences, holidays. I'll list birthdays again, and probably the first 3 columns will also act as a calendex for the rest of the bullet journal that I have. So last minute appointments that get thrown in and such, those will fall in there. The due date column is for things that I have that are due. Especially going into this next 6 months, I'm going to be job hunting, and as I'm an academic, That means I've got to apply for grants, fellowships, any job positions, conferences, and get all of that organized, as well as meeting requirements that I need for my PhD due dates. So this is so that way I can see all of that right up front and keep track of it. Again, this is going to be a huge experiment because I've never done this kind of future plan before, and I'm kind of curious how this is going to work, to be completely honest. YouTube is so that way I can lay out my YouTube videos, and even though I'm going to be tracking my YouTube videos separately as well, like tracking, filming, editing, things like that, I want to see when my publishing schedule happens compared to when other events in my life are happening or when other due dates in my life are happening. And so this is so that way I can get that big picture view and see how all these little things intermingle and combine and what I need to plan around. And then this final column is mostly so that way I can mark which weekends I'm playing with friends. I game online with several friends. Some of them I alternate every other week with. Some of them are weekly. Some of them we change the game that we're playing on a weekly basis. And I kind of want to be able to track when we're doing that. And I also want to be able to say, oh, hey, I've had this thing come up and I can't game this weekend. And like, this is to help me keep in mind, oh, hey, I'm busy. Like, this actually cannot happen, even though it's supposed to. At least based upon our usual schedule. So again, this is that way I get that full big picture all together and see all the details. Like, that is the whole point of this future spread. And I'll talk about the supplies that I use that I did to do all this here in just a moment. But first I have two more spread setups that I did that are like pretty much identical to things I've done before. So this is my goals for 2018. So I've got 10 goals. Some of them I've already accomplished, yay. But I want to go ahead, relist all of my goals for the year that I set out for myself at the beginning of the year. And then this page is divided in two to accommodate third quarter task list and fourth quarter task list. So again, just dividing up the rest of the year so that way I can create manageable ways to approach each of these goals. And then finally, I have my project forecast for the rest of the year. And this one is, actually now oriented so that way when I open up my bullet journal to this page, it's already oriented the correct way. Whereas in my last bullet journal, or the bullet journal I'm currently wrapping up at the time of this filming, is like on its side like this. But I wanted to try doing it this way because, one, I don't even think I'm going to hit necessarily this many projects throughout the rest of the year. But I realized I could get like all 26 weeks till the end of the year on this page. And so that's how it's divided up. It's why these lines that are out here in the middle actually don't coincide necessarily with where the dots are. It's to actually say, oh, it's about this far into this week that the month switches over. You may have noticed I have a little bit of a boo-boo and decided to cover it up with some other Lloyd's trim paper that I have from a notebook that I wasn't going to use one of the pages in. And so that was my solution, was to cut out a little bit of extra dot grid and tape over the bit that I messed up. So now for my supplies, because there's a couple things that I've done differently. and a couple of things that have stayed the same. For the most part, everything has been done with Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen in black in size medium. That's what's doing a lot of the bold black titles, which I suppose really aren't that many, and the numbers over here. And then like any calligraphy stuff is done with a Tombow Fudenosuke pen in the soft tip. My other main pen marker that I've been using, which you see a lot of, is the copper Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen. And this is the 1.5 millimeter nib, which I think is the only size it comes in. And of course, I'm also using a Staedtler Tri-Plus Fine Liner to do some of the darker brown lines that you see here on the project forecast page. And then, well, you may have noticed either my handwriting suddenly got very, very clean and consistent, or I'm using something else. And the truth is, I'm using something else to write out these dates on the side. And what I'm using is this dated washi tape, or this like numbered washi tape. And I found this on Etsy. I can't remember who the seller is. There's a couple of different sellers. But this tape is actually like specifically sized and spaced to fit the 5x5 millimeter dot grid. So the numbers are actually spaced appropriately. And I didn't want to write out 1 through 31 6 different times while putting my bullet journal together. I suppose technically a couple of those months I only have to put in 30 days, but overall I'm using this washi tape, and I must say this was a good investment for me. And the really cool thing is that this washi tape, just to give you all an idea, has about, I think they said 3.5 years worth of 1 through 31. So like I can technically cover 42 months with just this one roll. And it also came with a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday labeling tape as well, that matches the same grid size. But I don't really need that because that's what these lines are doing. They're taking care of that for me. And that is all the supplies I used in my setup. And of course, I probably would be remiss not to mention the other supplies I do plan on using. And this is to go with this fall theme. First of all, I have another Staedtler Tri-Plus Fine Liner in this kind of crimson color that I'm going to be using as an accent color. And then I've got 2 Tombow dual brush pens, one that matches that red accent color from before, or as close as I can get. And this is the 847. And also a really light, pale sand color, the 942. And I'm going to use these to do any like highlighting or brush lettering throughout this bullet journal. So yeah, that's where I'm at in terms of setting this one up. And I've taken out a couple of things that I had at the beginning of my last setup, and that's because they weren't working for me, and it's like, why keep it if it doesn't work? That is truly the brilliance of this system. So I'm now going to try something a little different for the next 6 months, especially when it comes to future planning. And I'm hoping it works out for me. So anyways, I think I'm going to end this video here. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos by me, go ahead and click the subscribe button. But I guess for now, go out, be creative, have fun, and have a lovely rest of the year of 2018. I'll see you all next time. Bye.